So, in early 2024, a massive bombshell dropped. A huge trove of documents tied to Jeffrey Epstein was finally unsealed. And wow, did it send shockwaves around the globe. In this explainer, we're going to dig into what these files are really telling us about Epstein's absolutely bizarre world, his incredibly powerful network, and maybe most importantly, all the questions that are still hanging in the air.
To really understand what's in these files, you kind of have to start with the place where so much of this happened: Jeffrey Epstein's strange 7-story mansion in New York City. I mean, just look at the entrance. It was covered in dozens of fake staring eyeballs. Right away, you knew this was not a normal home. It was a stage.
And once you got inside, oh, it got so much weirder. Picture this, a life-size sculpture of a bride just hanging from the ceiling, a stuffed tiger, a first edition copy of Lolita on display. This place wasn't just a house. It was this whole creepy performance, and you just knew it was designed for something really, really disturbing.
And it turns out, this whole bizarre stage had a purpose. Some of the most powerful people on the planet walked through those doors, and according to testimony, they were being secretly filmed the entire time. Hidden cameras were reportedly just everywhere, creating a library of secrets.
And that library of secrets, that's what brings us to the bombshell that just dropped. A court ordered a flood of files connected to Epstein to be unsealed, and the details are absolutely shaking some of the most powerful institutions in the world. And just to give you a sense of the scale here, we're talking about an absolute mountain of information. It might not be the whole story, but what we have so far is a tidal wave of documents that mention some of the most famous and powerful names you can imagine. So, when we say the Epstein files, what are we actually talking about? Well, it's a mix of everything. Court depositions, private emails, flight logs from his jet, all kinds of internal documents that pull back the curtain on how his network actually worked. It's the gritty details and the horrifying testimony that's filling in the gaps on things we only suspected before. And the list of people just mentioned in these documents, it's staggering. We're not just talking about a few celebrities here. No, this list touches every single corner of the global elite. We're talking politics, royalty, big tech, Wall Street, even respected academics. The sheer breadth of his network was, well, it's kind of mind-blowing. But what's really making people's jaws drop are some of the new international names that are popping up. Names like Google co-founder Sergey Brin, Indian business magnate Anil Ambani, and yeah, even Elon Musk, who once pointed fingers at others, now finds himself mentioned in these very documents. So this all leads to the big question, right? How on earth did a college dropout manage to build this kind of insane influence? Well, the files seem to paint a pretty clear picture of a carefully built system, almost like a blueprint for blackmail. Let's take a look at how it allegedly all went down. This is just chilling. This detail comes from a victim, Maria Farmer. She described being in a media room in Epstein's mansion and seeing monitors showing live feeds from hidden cameras in every single bedroom and bathroom. Her words, toilet, toilet, bed, bed, just they give you a gut punch. It shows you just how total the surveillance allegedly was. So here it is, the alleged business model. Step 1, you lure powerful people to your properties. Step 2, you secretly record them. The FBI actually found a safe stuffed with meticulously labeled CDs. And that leads to the final step, doesn't it? You use that material for leverage, for blackmail, for influence, for power. Okay, so let's look at a few high-profile examples of how this alleged system actually played out. Because what these files are doing is connecting the dots between what these powerful people said in public and the private realities that were going on behind the scenes. Let's take Bill Gates. Publicly, he really downplayed his connection to Epstein, claimed there was no business relationship, no friendship. But the files, they seem to tell a very different story. They allege multiple meetings at Epstein's creepy mansion and a flight on his private jet. And get this, all of this happened after Epstein was already a convicted sex offender. And this just shows you how wide his net was cast. You've got British royalty with Prince Andrew, who ended up settling a lawsuit with a victim. You have a massive Indian industrialist, Anil Ambani, who allegedly used Epstein to get political access. And then you have Richard Branson, who allegedly sent an invitation to Epstein to visit his private island and told him to, quote, bring your harem. Now, this might be one of the single most explosive claims in the whole document dump. It's from an email written by Epstein himself. in it, he basically takes credit for advising the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on a state visit. He claims his advice on how to impress the US president, and he wrote this in all caps, it worked.
Okay, but we have to be clear here. The Indian government has come out and forcefully denied this. They called Epstein's claims, quote, trashy ruminations by a convicted criminal that should be dismissed completely. So on one side, you have Epstein's boast, and on the other, you have an absolute denial.
So all of these revelations, all these names, all these details, it brings us to where we are now. The messy, complicated search for justice and the huge, glaring questions that still have no answers. And here's something you have to remember. This story is not over. Not even close. As big as this document release was, a massive chunk of the files connected to this case are still sealed, still hidden from public view. Which just makes you wonder, what other secrets are in there?
And this chart says everything, doesn't it? You have hundreds of people implicated in this massive network of abuse and influence peddling. And yet, how many people have actually been jailed for it? One. Just one. The gap between the number of people involved and the number of people held accountable it's just vast.
And then there's this really strange and dark pattern. Key figures in this whole saga keep turning up dead. You have Jean-Luc Brunel, a modeling agent accused of finding girls for Epstein. He dies in his jail cell. These kinds of events just fuel more suspicion and more questions about what was really going on.
So it all boils down to this fundamental question. You have a global trafficking and blackmail ring that allegedly involved hundreds of powerful people and went on for decades. So how is it possible that only one accomplice has seen the inside of a prison cell? It really makes you think the system is designed to protect some people, doesn't it?
And that, of course, brings us to the final, haunting question that hangs over this entire sordid affair. Yes, Epstein's death was officially ruled as suicide, but when you think about the sheer volume of dirt he had, the secrets he held on some of the most powerful people on the face of the earth, the question will always, always remain, was he silent?